Grab your cup and join us and take your seats once again, because this is going to be really nice. New authors, new books, something to look forward to, and definitely will get you buying their books as well. And especially the very first one, which I'm really excited. And I just found out that his book, their book, is sold out. So I don't even have a chance to get my hands on a book. So that's going to be really exciting. So up first, Radiance in Indian Skies, the Tejas Saga. If you've already bought the book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'd like to welcome Air Marshal Philip Rajkumar. And he's retired. He's a retired Air Marshal. And he spent 9 years in the program from 1994 to 2003. He was given the onerous task of setting up the infrastructure and preparing for flight testing the 2 technology demonstrator aircrafts. And the National Flight Test Center was set up by him in 1994, which has since performed 5,000 prototype test flights safely. Given his long association with the program, he was eminently qualified to chronicle the journey of the Tejas from concept to entry into service. This book is also written by B.R. Srikanth. So I really like you all to put your hands together and give Air Marshal Philip Rajkumar a roaring round of applause. And I'm going to hand it over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just hold out this book, which is all about the journey of the Tejas from a concept to entry into squadron service with the Indian Air Force. I spent 9 years in the program, as the person who introduced me said. And I set up this program, and I was fully involved in the development of the 4 technologies which are in this aircraft, which is the fly-by-wire system, the glass cockpit, composite materials in the airframe, and computerized monitoring of the general utility systems. These are 4 new technologies being attempted for the first time in India in a single prototype, so the risks were many. We had help from Lockheed Martin of the United States and British Aerospace in the United Kingdom. But in 1998, the Pokhran explosion, after that, all the help from the Western countries was taken away. In spite of that, after 31 months of long struggle, we flew the aircraft on the 4th of January 2001. And after completing 5,000 accident-free flights, it is now flying in the Indian Air Force, and probably in the Indian Air Force it has already clocked about 3,000 flights, and the accident-free record continues. So this book is all about that journey, and it pays tribute to a huge team of people. There are many hundreds and hundreds of men and women who have worked on this program for 30 years. It is the most criticized project in Indian aviation history. The print media, the electronic media, the politicians, the laymen, everybody criticized the project, saying it was taking too long and thousands of crores have been wasted. But the point is that you first have to build the technology base and thereafter launch the program. We said we launched the program without a technological base. So that technologies were proved only in 2004, and then the aircraft entered into service in 2019, which is 15 years, which is par for the course. Also, from 1986 till the time the Naval LCA landed on the Vikramaditya, on the carrier Vikramaditya, the total amount of money was spent was 14,200 crores, which you divide by 34 comes to 420 crores a year, which is a very small amount for a country like India. And we built 17 prototypes, completed 5,000 test flights, and put it into service. So thank you for your patience, and I hope some of you at least will read and enjoy the book. Thank you.
Do we have any questions?
Hello. Sir.
Yes, please.
Do you still use G engine or autonomous engine?
Well, we are still using the General Electric 404 engine, because the Kaveri engine program, which we started simultaneously, has not fructified as yet. So now we are entering into a collaboration with General Electric to produce the 414 engine in India. Prime Minister Modi and President Joe Biden right at the moment are talking about this very program in Delhi. So right now, we don't have an indigenously developed engine yet.
Okay, thank you.
How much is the defense working with the IITs and the other engineering institutions to actually build as much indigenous technology as possible? Or will we be dependent on the emerging technologies to arrive from the West for us?
When we started the program, as I told you, we lacked the technological base. So we had to take help from foreign consultants. But the Tejas program involved, as I said, hundreds of men and women, 300 small, 5 PSUs and 295 small and medium enterprises. We have worked very closely with academia, with the IITs and the Indian Institute of Science. And the technological base has been built up, so now we can handle the flight controls by ourselves, we can handle the composite materials by ourselves, we can make the glass cockpit. Everything is ours. The Tejas aircraft has got 4 million lines of software code sitting in it. All of it is developed in-house. It's on our intellectual property. So we've come a long way, and hopefully in the next 5 or 10 years, we'll be even more self-reliant.
So it's said that Tejas is India's most successful program. Do you agree?
Yes, so far it has been India's most successful aeronautical development program. That's right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's give Air Marshal, Philip Rajkumar, as well as BR Srikanth a big round of applause. Thank you so much. That was quite interesting. And requesting Benedict to kindly stay back on the stage, to kindly felicitate our speakers. Thank you. Once again, please put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for both of them. Thank you so much. So moving on to our next rapid new book launch. Is Divya around? Yes. Please put your hands together for Divya Khanna.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank the Bangalore Business Lit Fest for including me over here. This is my first book, and I'd just like to tell you how I kind of got the idea of writing this book and why I wrote it. About 6 years back, I was a little burnt out. I worked in advertising for 16 years. I was very stretched. And for people who work in corporate jobs, you know that pressure is a lot. There's a lot of competition. And if you think to yourself, how many times have you ended up working even though you were on vacation? How easy is it for you to reschedule a call which some overseas partner or client has set at a very inconvenient time for you? These were some of the questions that I felt needed to be answered, that why are we like the way we are? Because Indians rarely ever say no. And when I was going through my burnout, I took a break. And as a marketing professional, my expertise is in consumer behavior. And I rely a lot on market research to do that. So while I was recovering and recuperating, I had a lot of time to introspect. And my whole approach was that, I must be doing something wrong. Initially, while you're in the situation, it's very easy to say there's a toxic environment, there's a toxic boss, there's this client, there's, you blame it on everybody but yourself. But if you take a little break and you have time to introspect, you realize you are contributing somewhere to that situation. And so I thought that I will use my trusty tool of market research to see, what other people know that I don't seem to know. And I felt that if I could put it in a book, it would help me kind of consolidate the learnings. And as it happened, I got a very great market research partner, Quantum Consumer Solutions. They did research for me in October 2019, and they gave me a very good report in February 2020. And then the lockdown happened. So while I was writing the book, everybody in the world started questioning the things that I had been questioning. It was no longer something that was my problem. Everybody, when work reached home and the boundaries started blurring, everyone started questioning why are we working the way we are and why can't there be a better way? So I did a lot of surveys through the COVID pandemic, and I updated my book. And I also was lucky to have an expert panel of people Mr. Ashok Kapoor, who is over here with me, who's a senior management expert. There's Mr. R.R. Nair, who's an HR expert. There's Kalyani Kapoor, who is a psychotherapist. And there's Rohit Krishan Gulati, who is an architect and a workspace design consultant. So, all of them kind of helped me make sense of my findings and to write the book. And what they did which I think is one of the best parts of the book, is the last part of the book, which is not written by me, it's written by the experts. So while I am kind of, doing the planner work of digging out the insights and trying to explain why we are the way we are, they have actually tried to provide some sense of direction of where we could go from here. So thank you very much. That's a little bit about my book.
Thank you so much, Divya. Do we have any questions?
Sounds fascinating. Any quick, what are the major lessons that, you learned?
Yeah, so actually, one of the initial lessons for me was the fact that we always want to belong and be popular and part of the cultures that we want to belong to. So corporate culture is not a culture we are born into. It's something that we choose out of choice and aspiration. And so, how you go to a college or a school and you want to be part of the in crowd, you feel very much the same when you get into corporate culture. So a lot of things, especially when you're young and you're in your first job, they don't make sense to you, but you're a little afraid to question everything because you want to fit in, you want to belong. And so things that, especially because India is a very status-conscious culture, we hesitate to kind of, say no to the boss or to push back very assertively. We are okay doing that with our peers and our juniors, but with our bosses, we are a little careful and sensitive. And so, this is one of the things why I feel, culture is something that's made of all of us. It's not something that happens to us. It's something we contribute to and we perpetuate. So that was one of my key learnings.
We all said we contribute to that. If you want to change that, how do you as an individual go about it? How can you do that?
Yeah, so I think it depends, of course, where you are. So if you're in senior management, you do have more impact than if you're further down the food chain. But I think a lot of it is also how we respond to what we are told to do. So, for example, if you take Generation Z, which is the latest generation to join the workforce, a lot of people, especially my contemporaries, when they are managing these people, they'll come back and they'll say things like, I told them to do this work, and they just said, the weekend is my personal time, and I'll do it on Monday. And while we are complaining about them, this is something that we wish we could have done with our bosses, right? But we didn't. So it is a little thing of, deciding what is okay with us, what is not okay with us, and being brave enough to draw that line, the boundary, If you see, when you do a global conference call, there could be people from every country in the world, but if you ask a European or an American to do it at 6 a.m. or 2:30 a.m. their time, they are likely to refuse the call. But a lot of Indians tend to do it saying, that's the only time we can get it and all, and we are so committed to work. As Indians, we feel, we have to show that we are committed to our work, and the way we show it is by working extra overtime, working on weekends and holidays, and being always available.
Is that really an option? Because if you say no, your job is on the line.
I think that's the whole thing, that, is it, it's collectively and individually. As individually, you can do so much, but as collectively, especially when we're senior management, if we see the culture as unhealthy and not helping us, then we need to find ways, make it okay to say no, okay to push back. One of the things that I discovered was when I was burning out, I felt that, I'm working 24/7, I should be appreciated, I should be acknowledged. But the fact was that because I was stretching myself so thin, my work quality was really bad. So instead of being appreciated, I was being criticized, I was being told I'm not good enough. And the frustration of not being able to do my job the way I wanted to do it got to me. And after I took the break, I realized, if I just kind of given myself a little bit of a break, taken a little bit more time, I could have, done a better job. Instead, I kind of forced myself with my back to the wall. And I don't think it was entirely somebody else pushing me. It was also me pushing myself.
All right, let's give Divya Khanna a big round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And requesting Swati Jena to kindly felicitate Divya, please. Thank you. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you once again. And I'd like to welcome Santosh Nambiar up on stage. The Art of Conscious Balance, Breaking Free from Your Conditioned Self. Please put your hands together for Santosh Nambiar. Thank you.
Fantastic evening, guys. Thank you for this. I need to seek an apology from you. I'm a gate crasher. I happen to be in Bangalore today, and I'm visiting India, promoting this book, and flying out tomorrow. So I just had one day here and just did a search to see what I could do in Bangalore, and here I am. And I just need to thank Benedict and also Melody and other people for inviting me to actually talk about this book. Thank you. Now, what I'm talking about in this book is about the intellect versus the intelligence. What do I mean by intellect? Intellect is everything that we've actually acquired, borrowed, learned, read, and from our own experiences, stored away in the brain. And that is limited because it may work, it may not work. And that is useful for our survival. But if you want to really fully flourish and thrive, we need to go beyond this intellect. And that's what I'm calling it, the intelligence. And how do you consciously balance the intellect versus the intelligence is what I've actually mentioned in the book. And to give you an analogy, imagine a candlelight in a dark room. It lights up the room. Whereas if you actually draw the curtains and allow the sunlight to actually come into the room, the intensity of the candle is dwarfed by that of the sunlight. Now, we're kind of plugging into that flickering candle, and therefore we're kind of surviving. Whereas if you're able to plug into that profound intelligence, the sunlight in the analogy, then things kind of fall in place. And this is what happened to me. And I'm not a person who can write a book. I've written about 6 books, and this is my 6th book. And my vocabulary is very poor, and and I don't have a business acumen. And I have a biotechnology business in Melbourne, serving the scientific community, the molecular biology community in the universities in Australia and New Zealand. And we provide all the reagents and kits and enzymes for them to do the research and bring out some cure for cancer, Alzheimer's, and those kind of diseases before it actually ends up with the pharma companies. And what I'm talking about is that these are possible only because I was able to connect to that intelligence. And this is very relevant for the young entrepreneurs where we are mostly seeking from an external environment. We're trying to gather something, we're trying to find something, we're trying to seek something. But if you actually go within and then from there actually look for solutions, things kind of fall in place because you're connecting to that space of greater knowing, what I call the intelligence. So the intellect versus the intelligence. Intellect is required for survival, whereas the intelligence is required for fully flourishing and thriving. So how do you consciously balance these two is what I'm talking about in the art of conscious balance.
All right, thank you so much, Santosh. Any questions? Can you pass the mic there? Right next, yeah.
Hello, sir. So you are talking about looking within that concept. So it's very much in adherence with meditation, and because meditation and looking within goes hand in hand. So how do you connect that, and is meditation one of the techniques to increase intelligence? Is that you're implying?
May I know your name?
Srishti.
Srishti, I don't call it meditation at all. You can call it meditation if you want to, but this is kind of a way of life where, during our upbringing, we have forgotten to actually connect with that intelligence. And therefore, we're going back and connecting to that intelligence. And how do you connect to that intelligence rather than the conditioned intellect, which is actually, overpowered this connection, is what I'm talking about. Therefore, as I'm speaking to you, I'm meditating, if you want to call that. But I don't want to call the term meditation. But I'm consciously aware that I'm speaking to you, and I'm consciously aware that I'm doing everything in that space of awareness. And therefore, something seems to be happening, manifesting. And as I said, I'm not a person who can write a book, and I'm not a person who can actually run a company, but things seem to be happening. And look at what's happening here. I have no idea how this manifested. And this was not what I was planning to do. But these kind of things kind of manifesting everywhere because I'm able to connect to that intelligence and at the same time being aware of the intellect, the limited intellect.
Any other questions? Please raise your hand. All right. Let's give Santosh Nambiar a very big round of applause. Thank you so much. Santosh, please remain. Requesting Mr. Shankar to kindly felicitate Santosh. Thank you once again, Santosh, and all the best. He's come all the way from Melbourne, and he's just here for a day, so he's gone back again. So it's a very fruitful day in Bangalore. Thank you once again. And that concludes our rapid new book launches.